And welcome everyone to another season of the Content Marketing Studio. Let me remind you that this is your show to learn how to create better online content faster. I am your host, Pascal Fintoni, and in each episode, I put the spotlight on content creators and other communications experts. And together, we look at ways for you to build your brand online and drive sales. My guest today is my very good friend, James Mellor. So James, a warm welcome to the Content Marketing Studio.
Good morning, Pascal. Lovely to be here and lovely to see you again.
I know it's been a very long time. This is almost kind of, what people say when they see each other now. But this is a Zoom call that I'm going to thoroughly enjoy. And now, James, for some of you who don't know about James yet, which I think would be quite a surprise, is the managing director of Rainbow Trout Films, but also the creative director of Northern Video Company. He's also a co-creator of a documentary series that is currently available on Amazon Prime Video. And I'll say no more because we're going to discuss that with James. But you need to know that James started his career in 1995. We're also going to talk about this and launched his business, Rainbow Trout Films, in 2010. So to begin with, happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's very strange having my anniversary slap bang in the middle of lockdown.
Did you do anything for the 10 years or somehow it didn't feel right?
I did. And you're going to love it. I did a video. So I did a video of myself thanking all my customers, clients, colleagues over the past 10 years, and did then a lovely, as you do, little video montage of some of our recent work. And that went down very well. And I think
so. Am I right in thinking that, sorry, James, am I right in thinking, I interrupted you there, that or you changed venue, you're also in a new studio and office?
Yes. So you think lockdown, everybody's closing down, shutting down. And I had an office in one of the university business centers. And of course, they closed the office completely over lockdown. And through colleagues and contacts that I'd built up in the area, which is the whole point of that, having that creative, that place to collaborate with other businesses. And I was missing that, but we'd already made those contacts over time. And I was speaking with a local photographer, Danny Thompson, and we've got a mental health charity called Unmasked Mental Health. And we sort of all came together going, well, shall we just get together and set up a new venture effectively? And the guys at Mass found the second floor of this building in the centre of Halifax. And we said, right, well, we'll take the middle bit. And we created our brand new studio, Albion Street Studios. And we've only just been in about 4 weeks. So it's all very new, getting all the kit, getting everything set up. So it's been quite an exciting time and a positive time considering everything that's going on. And of course, this is a risk. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But I thought we have an opportunity here to go above and beyond and see what we can do and what we can create. And I have to say, it's been so far so good.
Yeah, but you're right. At the time of recording this, we are pretty much in, I would say, the sequel to the lockdown, using a film analogy. And we need all of us as business owners, but also as part of a business kind of community, find what I call small victories. And you told me that actually you did get some video production gigs during lockdown. How did that work for you? What did you have to do differently? I'm just curious.
It sort of, well, obviously, like yourself, I think everybody's diaries emptied during March. And the ironic thing is, like, we were already self-isolating for about a week before the official lockdown because I wasn't feeling very well. So sort of, it came out of that literally, I'm free. And then no, we're not free because we're straight into lockdown. So that was it. And then all my events, videos and all that sort of thing, that all got cancelled or put on hold. And I thought, what do we do now? And I thought, I've got to think a little bit outside the box. And as one of my mentors Den Lenny, who runs another podcast called Business Creatives. He got on a call with us and said, look, you can't control what's going on with the pandemic, but take control of the things around you that you can. And that really hit home for me. I thought, right. I thought, there's no point in me going out to companies and colleagues going, do you want to buy a video from me? Because everybody was in that sort of panic mode. So I switched it around and went, actually, there's a way I'll create a little video to help those companies. So I did a little, very simple, stay safe, protect the NHS, a little animation video, about 40 seconds long, and put their company logo on and said, here's this logo. It's for you. It's for free. Do with it what you want. And I did that to all my friends and colleagues. And then that sort of continued on when I was doing Zoom calls and things. Can I offer this to you as something to give you? And that was just so rewarding for me. And to have those people going, oh, thanks very much. And then it was keeping me alive, keeping my brand out there, because so many people just went into a black hole. And it was that was quite incredible, really. And then I was on another webinar with a local HR company, and they were talking about trying to give all the information about furlough, CBILS, all the things that they needed to get to their clients. And I knew them, but they weren't a client of mine. And they just said, James, do you mind just staying on the webinar just while we're wrapping up? And they said, look, a lot of our clients don't know how to get on Zoom. They don't know how to access things. We've got all this information about all these different loans, grants, and things that we need to get to our client base and beyond. So after a short discussion, we came with the deal and said, right, actually, we can do a socially distanced video. And so I did some filming, kept very well apart and all the rest of it, and filmed a series of videos. We did about 11 videos, all about furloughing, all the support things from to help companies. And we turned around that around in a couple of days. So it was really fast turnaround, and got that out onto their LinkedIn and YouTube channels and all the various things that I helped them with that. And it was great because like a lot of other limited companies at the time, we were all suffering from the as a company director, you couldn't furlough yourself, otherwise you wouldn't have a company effectively. So I thought anything I can do to get, and I nicknamed it during the first, I'll go better than furlough. So if I got something, that was my mission, to get at least one job a month, which would be then bring me in enough money, which was better than what I'd have got if I'd have just taken the furlough money. And so that was my personal challenge. And through that and through networking, especially online, that's been incredible for me. It led to doing another series of videos for another local company, again in the SME sector, a local physiotherapy company. And I went, actually, we never have time to do these, but we've always wanted to do these videos. And it created a little small pocket of opportunity for them to go, well, we have time to think about this now because we can't do this, and we can't do that, but we can help our customers. So we ended up doing that. So it was great for us to feel the value that we're giving value back to our customers, clients, and the business community in the wider world.
That's excellent. And I like the way you mentioned series. You and I may remember in our younger days when video was actually production, or post-production in particular, was expensive. So when someone were making a video, it was a big investment. It was one video, and the video had to last forever. Now we can actually do series. We can try things that may not work or be short-lived, because actually everything's become so much more accessible. And I like the idea of your message about to businesses and to actually people in the business of business support. Now that we have extra time, it's been imposed upon us, maybe actually we could explore projects that have been put on the back burner because we've all been rushed off our feet. Now, to our viewers and listeners, the reason I've got James with me in addition to sharing a passion for film production, video production, is because I wanted to explore with you, James, this idea of going beyond what is expected of you as a business when it comes to video. So typically when someone thinks of a video or video for the business, they think of a sales video, promo video, a case study, a meet the team video. And I think you should do those. But then once they're kind of out of the way, what's left? And I think there's something very exciting I want to explore with you. What I would like to begin with, if you don't mind, is your career. You must have one of the most interesting LinkedIn profiles ever. So I mean, most of us, including me, even though I had a foray in video production for quite some time, we do our very best to be interesting on LinkedIn. You don't have to make much of an effort. So what I'll do on purpose, I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to bring your LinkedIn profile on screen, James Mellor. And what we're going to be looking at is, I'll go through your career, if that's okay. And then you can tell us.
Me. I would have made sure it was all up to date.
Well, to be honest with you, it's so extensive. It just says, well, you haven't, because it's just that. Right. So I've got to click, show more, because it's that long. And it's going to be almost like, this is your life. So, my goodness. Yeah, you started in 1995. I keep clicking show more. It's all right. So it's almost like, in 1995, a young man with dreams begins. So we have you as a runner for Yorkshire Television, working on Countdown and Bad Influence. And then you continue as a runner, but this time you're getting paid for it. And you work for Chapter One Limited, a production company, I suspect, on the Real Holiday Show and Real Birth Show for Channel 4. And you're so lucky, in Elstree Film Studio. Now, why are you lucky? You want to tell us, why Elstree Film Studio is so famous?
Well, obviously, Elstree, it's the home of Star Wars. What more do I need to say about Elstree? Those good old days of running around London, and it wasn't. I think I was paid about £150 a week, but they gave me a zone 1 to 6 travel card, because
otherwise I'm going to be gone just
back in those days, the internet was. It was in its infancy. People were excited if they could turn their website color yellow, or the text, or video, and all that was a long way off back then. So video production was very much an online and an offline world. So as a runner, obviously making good cups of tea was, I think, the number one. If you can make a good cup of tea, you'll have a career in the film and TV world. That is probably the best bit of advice I can give. And I was ferrying rushes and tapes to all the various producers, PDs, etc., all across London. And it was like, right, can you take this to here? Can you go to the post-production house in Soho? Oh, we need to go that needs to go down to South London, and then I need to get back up to Elstree to do this, to pick up that. So I was literally every day. I got to know London really well in that 6 months. So it was a great experience. And ironically, it was my birthday which is in October, like yours, when they aired on Channel 4, or when we first saw the Real Birth Show. They were doing 2 series. They were doing the Real Holiday Show was the bulk series, and then they did a one-off Real Birth Show, which was quite an eye-opener for me back then. And so through that, sorry, I just lost my train of thought, 2 seconds. So through that, I saw my name on the credits for the first time, which was just an absolute wonderful thing to see. And it was on my birthday that I saw it. I was like, production crew, or James Mellor. I was like, oh, I like that.
And could I ask, did you know that you wanted a career in film video production before you were a runner in 1995, or did you catch the bug when you had that work experience back in?
Well, I can tell you a little story here. I knew when I was 10 years old. So back then it was, yeah, we're going back into the 80s. So yeah, late 80s. My father at the time ran a trout farm up in Rippoldon in West Yorkshire. The random things of life. And out of the blue, one day he got a call from the BBC studios in Manchester, and back then I think they were on Oxford Road, so it's going back in time. There's no Salford, none of that back then. And they said the regular supplier had let them down, and we need some live fish for a scene in an unknown series called Red Dwarf.
Oh, wow.
So as a 10-year-old, we got the fish loaded up onto the trailer on the thing with the oxygen, all that. And we went over to Manchester Studios one evening, and I walked onto the set of Red Dwarf as a 10-year-old. And I'm a bit of a sci-fi geek. I love spaceships. I love all that sort of thing. And I'm like going, I was just in heaven, and just watching the actors. They were doing the scenes, and I was like, I still remember the scene with Danny John Jules. I'm gonna eat your little chickie. I'm gonna eat your little chickie. Too slow, Chicky Morango. Too slow for this cat, because they were doing it that many times. I memorized it, and I had my hand over my mouth trying not to laugh, because they obviously keep quiet for the sound. My mum had her hand over my hand to try and keep me quiet, because I was just laughing. And from that point on, nobody, no career advisor could tell me otherwise. That, nope, I want to work in film TV, and that's it. And I was quite single-minded about it. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do in it, but I'm like going, no. And then it was tough, because it was obviously several years later when I got the foot in the door at Yorkshire Television with Countdown. And I remember it was back then they had the Yorkshire Television bar. It was everybody went to the bar. That was the cool thing back then. And I met the executive producer in the bar, and I was so nervous. I spilled coffee all down for hot coffee. It was like right in front of him, because I was that nervous. And then I got the opportunity to have the week's work experience with them as a runner, and meeting Carol Vorderman and Richard Whiteley. But that was my foot in the door. And I thought, when you're there, I was talking to everybody and anybody. And back then, up at Kirkstall Road, Yorkshire TV, it was a real good production hub. So Children's ITV were also running a children's computer game show series in the 90s called Bad Influence, which I know you'll appreciate because you're a bit of a game geek like myself. And there's this world where they're going, you had Andy Crane going, and we got this new game for the Game Boy and the Sega Mega Drive and all these different platforms, because it was like the renaissance of computer gaming. And so I managed to collar somehow the series producer in the lift, I think, at Yorkshire TV. And I was going, oh yeah, I'd love to do that. Can we can I come and do some work experience? So I ended up doing a 2 weeks work experience with them, which was just wonderful. I think somewhere in some video footage, some VHS, there's probably me on the set of Bad Influence pretending to play some computer games, because there's an amazing set. And then they couldn't get rid of me. So I basically, for the entire rest of the run of the series, I would turn up for the filming day, and then the editing day, the following day it was the edit. So I would then just sit in and just soak in everything to do with the studio, and then everything to do with the edit and the post-production. And I just I loved it. I soaked it all in, basically. And it was such a wonderful experience, and it really just helped set me up
I can just well imagine, and as
In the
listening
world.
to you, and I'm imagining in what it feels like, and it's almost like if someone has a passion for a professional career, whether I remember when I was I knew that I wanted to get involved in video film production, but my vision was nowhere near as clear as yours. I just knew somehow it would reveal itself. So I think my path has been more around sales and marketing. But even just when I was visiting the printing rooms or the big print press, when I was invited, for example, to see my adverts in the Evening Standard by actually going to the offices and going downstairs in the basement where the newspaper is being printed, and the noise and the people walking around and so on, is just absolutely incredible. So let's go back to your career. We're going to go through this quickly. Then then you move on to working for Sky in 2000 as an assistant producer, but actually it's just essentially a faster runner. Then you work with ITV back as a runner on London's Burning. Then, interestingly, you start to delve into sound recording and video recording, working for Attaboy TV, and you kind of move on. But when we met several years ago, yeah, you could tell that was my thing, talking about films. And to our viewers and listeners, actually, James very kindly did offer straight there they would take me with him one day on set or on location. But 2004, according to your LinkedIn profile, Warner Brothers, set production assistant on Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. You lucky, lucky so-and-so.
I think that has to be one of my favorite jobs, along with Last of the Summer Wine. I think Harry Potter was definitely such an honor and an experience to just be there. And I just took it with both hands. And the first day was really bizarre because it was like a massive set day. They were filming in the Great Hall, so literally all the cast were in. They had a load of celebrities in, and then I had to look after, because I didn't know where everything was. So, can you go look after some VIPs? And it was like, we had the ex-leader of the Labour Party I was looking after, ironically, and some others. And it's like, and this other guy was like, oh yeah, he's a producer. And it's like, oh yeah, what did you do? And then he'd done one of Leonardo DiCaprio's films. I'm like going, I'm here. I'm in this wonderful world, and the sets were beautiful.
So where was that again? Which studios or location were you?
Predominantly at Leavesden Studios. We also I did some of the work at Shepperton Studios as well. But yeah, I was in on like a daily contract, and so I kept coming back. So sometimes I was on the main unit or the second unit. Again, making cups of tea is very, very important. But it was just wonderful to be in and around such an array of top-class acting talent. And there's one little story I'll share with you. The late, great Alan Rickman,
right,
Professor Snape himself. And it was a Friday. They just finished shooting with him. And I had one of those little buggy carts. And Alan was one of those actors who always kept in character throughout while he had his costume on. And so as a result, it was, so we got on the cart and I'm driving back to the changing rooms. And I just said, have a lovely weekend, Mr. Rickman. And he turned to me, and you. And then he spun around and walked with double doors with the cape flowing behind him. And it was just a lovely little moment that we both shared, which was sort of between us. And that was just wonderful. And just things like that. I thought it made my day worthwhile. But yeah, such fun, such talent going on around there. And then I ended up doing some stand-in work for Gary Oldman.
So what does that entail?
Wasn't very glamorous, by the way.
Yeah, because we see that, you know, the closing credits, as you mentioned a moment ago, we see some really kind of bizarre job titles and roles. So what is the role of a stand-in? Please reveal all.
A stand-in. Well, it's basically it's when whenever the actor isn't on set. And is resting back in their trailer with their martinis, and they have to block light, get everything set up. So you're working very much with the director of photography and lighting. So you're basically blocking the scene with the assistant directors and sometimes with the director. So when they bring the actors on, you're almost playing it out for the actors before the actors come and do their bit. So that in itself is wonderful. And I was like going, and then we're doing the scene where they discover Ron's rat is actually, what's his name? And it's like, right, you point your one that way and you point your one that way. And then the real actors come on and say, right, well, we're pointing it this way. And it was like, hang on, we're telling the actors what we've just been doing.
So let's be clear. You directed Gary Oldman.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. The wonderful Alfonso Cuarón director Gary Oldman.
Yeah, wonderful director. You're right.
I have a very, very, very small, tiny.
I just imagine saying, "Sorry, Gary. No, this is not how you're supposed to hold a wand."
Yeah, I think if I'd have done that, I think I would have been marched off set there and then.
Oh wow, that's incredible. So I'm sure, like you mentioned before, while you were there for, you know, quite some time, you took on board so much information. You were learning from the others. Is that what then gave you, I suppose, you know, enough self-belief and courage to move into a director position with Wheeling and Dealing, which is, I think, a short film that you kind of produced and directed yourself?
Yes. So at the time of that, I was doing quite a bit of work on BBC Doctors up at Pebble Mill Studios. So that was sort of that time. So I was third assistant directing at that point. And yes, this project came along, and it was a real challenge. But they had the wonderful thing is they'd secured a budget for it, which was almost unheard of in those days. But somebody left some money to somebody, and they wanted it using in this particular way, and it was a real. I loved the script, and it was a colleague of mine at Sky who knew somebody else who went, James, would you like to have a go with this project? I can't do it, but maybe something that you would like to do. And that's sort of how it sort of came about. So I was working with this writer in Cambridge, and it was quite a challenging project in some ways because all the actors had some form of disability, whether that's physical or mental. Some things are more obvious, but literally all of them, bar a little cameo from myself doing my Hitchcock moment. But so it was a real honor and pleasure to sort of come together, and we filmed 2 days in Cambridge and a couple of days in London. So we were up even doing some things at 3 Mill Studios, because I was using all my contacts as an assistant director, going, can we get in here? Can we get in there? Can we do all these different things? And I just
you didn't do the Roger Corman bit of going to someone else's set and filming bits of scenes. No, but I could I could tell you another story at Pinewood. But yeah, it was just wonderful to do that and to have the knowledge and the confidence to do that. It was absolutely mentally exhausting, but so rewarding. And when I look at the credits, we had I think a 60 strong cast and crew,
on that project, and it went on to be shown in the Cannes Film Festival in the short film corner. Those filmmakers amongst your audience will know about that. And also we got into the BFI Disability Film Festival, I think the following year. And that was really amazing because we went down to the BFI and all the other projects were shot on video, but although we'd shot ours on video, we'd got it transferred to film. So we had a film projection of it. And there was that lovely moment when you sat in the cinema and you remember the curtains would then go that bit further, and then the thing comes up, and it didn't do it for anyone. And then the credits came up, and you just have that lovely filmic experience. And then our film show did that, and it was like, this is just wonderful. Even though it was just this short film, but it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
No doubt. So when I met you, I remember I was quite surprised. Why was I surprised? I'm not sure, but I was surprised how well you knew the northeast of England. But then again, when we look at what happened next, it makes sense because you end up working as second assistant director for 24, 25 films, and you're working on Six Bend Trap, which was based in and around Middlesbrough. Then pretty much at the same time soon after, you end up, working in Newcastle upon Tyne, not far from where I live, near Durham. And here you work on TV series Rocket Man and the one-off drama Beaten. And this is where you also end up working with Robson Green. So again, this idea of, you follow the thread, you follow your vision and passion, but doors keep opening.
Yeah, it was just... I think with filmmaking and getting to know crews and things, people move on to different jobs and then say, we need this or we need that. And it's really down to you as an individual to push yourself and get out there and network and make those contacts, make those friends, to open up those opportunities. And yes, I loved working up in Newcastle in the northeast. Did a few projects up there, and a lovely part of the world. And but just again, everything has its own little stories and quirks. And it was great to get that step up from being a third assistant director, moving into being a second assistant director, and then again on features. So working with production companies and crews based out of Newcastle at the time. So which still to this day has a wonderful community and so well supported by the network of creatives and so on. So we are 2005, 2007, and you also then back into Newcastle work as first assistant director for Short Fellas, or suddenly you work on the feature trailer featuring Warwick Davis. So this is now your second link with the Star Wars universe. First Elstree Studio, and now with Warwick Davis. So that must have been fun. Oh, that was great fun, and it's a project. I think the filmmaking team are still trying to get off the ground up in Newcastle. Yeah. But yeah, Warwick was wonderful to work with, and ironically, I actually met him on the set of, I think, Harry Potter 5 a few years later.
Yeah. And
because he was in one of the Goblin costumes, and then we just had a lovely chat about doing this trailer. But yeah, it was such a fun comedy short fellas about a group of short fellas doing a bank robbery in Newcastle.
I know, I remember it.
Yeah.
I remember actually seeing it featured in the local media because, people were just so proud of something like this happening and think, this is going to be. But these are, of course, the vagaries of film production. Some things come off and others are still kind of a concept. We know that all too well. Yep. So, you continue, obviously, your work, but in more or less at the same time, you have your first foray, which is essentially where we're going to link to what you do today, to corporate films with Simon Green Associates. You worked there for 3 years. Was that an easy transition from, let's say, fiction work to corporate work? It was sort of things were going. We were a bit on and off, shall we say? So we were doing little projects here, little projects there.
but yeah, the whole corporate thing was great because I saw this other world opening up and thought, oh, this is interesting, because you can then, as you say, take your creative credentials and put them into something. So again, we were creating videos and contents which wasn't boring for the audience. And of course, back then, corporate production was considerably more expensive for the clients than it is, say, today, when everyone can just pick up an iPhone or edit on their laptop. That wasn't even possible back at that time. We always have to remember how fast technology has taken. And yeah, we're shooting on DV cam and things like that back then. So we were still back in the tape world, for those who remember it. But yeah, I was able to just use those skills and transfer them across quite easily, because the filmmaking techniques, the lighting, the sound, that doesn't change whether you're doing a corporate film or you're doing a full-blown feature film. So the concept is the same.
Oh, excellent. And then obviously you carry on in a way you are kind of having the both worlds, because you are working as a producer for City, that's how you pronounce it, looking after their kind of needs as video, but you're also working for Big Sky B, which again must have been just great, because very different needs, very different kind of audiences, but in there a lot of transferable skills.
Well, exactly. Those skills just transfer so easily across the different genres. So you don't need to be necessarily pigeonholed. But for Citigroup, that was a great experience. But yeah, it's working in the world of finance and banking. So it's maybe not as exciting, certainly, as being on the set of Harry Potter or some of these other things. But it was still, I got a great experience, and then working down in Canary Wharf and just watching that grow. So it was really great. And then I was sort of doing the sort of two things. I was doing some film stuff, and then I was doing some corporate stuff. And that was sort of how my freelance world was living during those years. And what happened with Sky was I was invited on. It was a 10-day job for doing a short film for the Sky Real Lives channel, and I thought, well, that's it. Yeah, I can just jump into that, and then I'll jump back into my film world. And basically, that job, we finished that, and then they went, oh, we got some other things, and it was Tesco, and they were doing the big Christmas conference, and then we ended, oh, are you free for this job? And then that was another month's worth of work. But then we were able to use sort of like a lot of different creative skills, trailer, filming, and we made a really fun thing for their event. So they're like going, yeah, I don't mind sharing this, because it was like they were doing a big conference event for all their shop floor managers all across the UK. And it's also about all the big Christmas range for all the different departments. So we did a series of videos interviewing all the different departments heads, whether that's toys, confectionery, blah, 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 all the different things. But we put it together in a game show format. So instead of them going to the conference and going, they have to listen to some PowerPoint presentations and things, and they're not good. We did it as a full-on game show with competitions, and so everybody in the audience was really engaged with what was going on. And then those videos were played in and amongst that. And then we were going, so and so said something in this video. What was it? And so they were doing like so everybody had to be engaged. And because there were some competition elements to it as well between the different store managers, it was a huge success for them that year. So that was fun. And then things kept going on. And the upshot is I went there for a 10-day job, and then 2 years later I left.
Absolutely, yeah. So that takes us into 2010, which we mentioned when we began this conversation. And you essentially become the founder and launch Rainbow Trout Films. I'm guessing that, I didn't know that actually, but I'm guessing that the name comes from obviously your dad's business. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was a combination of obviously I was at the BAFTA Television Awards that year, and I thought I knew I wanted to start this company. I thought, what the hell am I going to call it? And I was just watching. We were in the audience in the Palladium, and I was just watching all the other winners or nominations. And I'm like, oh, Dragonfly films. I think, ooh, and they're just saying animals, and then I thought, well, we used to have the trout farm. And then I was like, I need to check if rainbow trout had been taken by anybody. And then you hadn't. But the next morning I was onto my accountant, quick, get Rainbow Trout Films Limited secured for me, please. So I would say it was a light bulb moment, but it was, but one that was special for me. So the logo of the trout was based on a design by my late mother, and so it has lots of personal connotations within there.